Hey friend, in this video I'm going to talk about some of the wild things that I see people do on cruise ships. Mistakes that people, some retirees, some not retirees, but mistakes that people make about their cruises. So let's get right into it. I have some bullet points here, but I'm going to pretty much talk off the cuff. The very first thing that I want to talk about is one, booking the wrong time of year. Because when you are trying to live on a budget or you're trying to save some money, now if you ain't trying to live on a budget, it don't really matter. If you are the type of person who you're booking the royal suite and all that, this video probably ain't for you. Because a lot of it has to do with finances, right? But yeah, if you are trying to save money, if you are trying to have the best cruise possible, but you don't want to break the bank doing it, then you need to think about cruising during the off-shoulder time. And along with that, I'll put these two together. You need to also not just book just when you feel like booking a cruise, because you can get some really good discounts. So with those two things, for instance, before I was living on cruise ships, I already had been on quite a few cruises, because when my kids were little, me and my first husband, we went on several cruises. I probably had taken maybe 13, 14, 15 cruises before I did this. We were on a tight budget. We had 3 kids, right? And so we always wanted to go back on cruising. We always wanted to go back cruising, but we had to be responsible with our finances. So we always found for us the best time of year that had the best cruise prices and that weren't in the middle of hurricane season were around the first or second week of Thanksgiving. So we took most of our cruises in November. If you book your cruises only when your kids are out of school, so spring break and summertime, you are spending way more money than you probably want to, or than you probably need to. If that is the only time you can book cruises, then that is understandable, especially like if you're a teacher and you can't take off. But me personally, I would use my vacation days outside of spring break and summer if you are able to. You're not a teacher or something else that requires you to be on land during those other times. But optimally, you want to look for shoulder seasons where the prices of the cruises are not as expensive as those other times. Of course, the most expensive times to cruise are going to be the holidays. So Christmas and New Year's, the prices are really high. There are still deals to be got, even during those times. And of course, all of this there's an exception with casino deals, right? Because a casino deal, you can get a free cruise pretty much anytime. As a matter of fact, I've already taken one. I got one free cruise the week before Christmas and another free cruise the week of Christmas 2024. I do have a cruise coming up. I almost gave away my schedule. For safety reasons, I don't give out my schedule in advance, but I do have a cruise coming up for Christmas this year and another one for New Year's this year, and both of those cruises were free. I'm just paying port fees and taxes. So yeah, those are the exceptions. They have, especially, I'm not sure about all cruise brands, but for sure Royal Caribbean, as a matter of fact, they're having one right now. It's November 16th when I'm making this video. They're having a sale right now where kids sail free, and they also have where the 3rd and 4th person sail free. So look for things like that. Of course, it's November, so Black Friday is coming soon. Actually, they're already advertising Black Friday deals, and the actual Black Friday deals are not going to be too much different than what they're advertising right now, if at all. They might be the exact same. But my point is, book your cruises, the actual cruise date, look for savings, look for off-shoulder times, and try to book them when there is a deal going on. Don't just book it because, oh, I'm in the mood for a cruise. Y'all, let's go on a cruise in 3 months. Well, wait a minute. When do they normally have cruise sales? And is that date that we're planning to go on, is that going to be the best time financially for us to go? All right, so the next biggest money mistake that I see people doing is paying full price for the cruise. obviously living full time on cruise ships and having this channel, I am not going to be an advocate for you paying full price for cruises, even if you are not the type to play in the casino for whatever reason. You just don't want to spend your money that way. You don't like going to the casino. You have religious reasons for not going. Whatever the reason is, there are still ways of getting discounts on cruises and not paying that full sticker price that the cruise ships talk about. And I made a video. I put a link in the video description here. But inside this video where I said how you can get cheap cruises and how I would live full-time on cruise ships if I wasn't getting casino deals, inside this video I walk you through Cruise Plum, and at the bottom it shows you the trends of the prices of cruises. So you can go in there and you can see, okay, this is what the sticker price of this cruise normally is. This is where it went higher. You can see these are the months that it goes lower. Wait and don't book it until those months. If you're not in a hurry, if it's not something where we have to get on a cruise, which I don't like making spur of the moment decisions anyway. So hopefully you're not saying, well, we have to book a cruise right now. I mean, there might be, like when I did my October 2023 cruise, because I was so stressed, I need to get away from everything or I was probably going to lose my mind. I didn't care what the price of the cruise was. I'm like, I'm booking me a solo cruise by myself. I don't care where it's going to or what cruise line it is. I just want to get on the ship. If you have something like that, that's a different story, right? That's not the norm. But outside of anything like that, please don't pay full price for cruises. Another way that you can avoid paying full price for cruises is find you a really good travel agent. I don't really have travel agents because most of my 99% of my cruises now are free, are casino deals, right? But during this journey, I've met a few awesome travel agents, and I will put their names and channels. I know them through YouTube. I'll put their names and channels up on the screen, and I'll put a link to them in the video description, and I'll put what they specialize in. So if you use a travel agent, that is another way of letting them, you'll be able to let them know, hey, I want to go on a cruise and this is my budget. Can you tell me what's the best line? Where's the best port to go out of? What's the best cruise? When's the best time for me to book it? And they will hook you up, okay? So another way to not pay full price for cruises. Overspending on excursions when many ports are walkable or have cheap local options. And I'm going to use my friends that I met on this ship. Can't remember, did we take a picture together or not? If we took a picture, I'll put it up on the screen. Miss Rose and Miss Spice, I'm on Carnival Firenze. They talked about how they went to the porthole over in Ensenada. If you've been watching this channel, you know I don't get off in Ensenada. I have nothing against Ensenada. I absolutely love Mexico, and every stop I've gotten off in Mexico, every stop I've gotten off in Mexico, I absolutely love. I don't know why, something in my heart tells me, don't get off in Ensenada. I've been in this cruise port about 15 times. We're going there tomorrow, actually. I just don't want to get off at this cruise port. It has nothing to do with Ensenada. Anyway, so I was asking them about it because they got off. And they went to the blowhole, which is apparently this marvel. It's kind of, I don't know how to describe it. Look it up. Google it. The blowhole in Ensenada. And they absolutely, they said they had a good time, but it wasn't worth it. So when they went, it was a long bus ride. It was a lot of walking. It was a lot of people pushing you to buy stuff. It was a lot of, what do they call that? I guess the person who, the tour guide was, I don't want to go into all the details, but you heard of kickbacks. You know what that means. So you had to go through all that. And then when you got up to the blowhole, it was great, but it wasn't worth all the hassle. Well, if you read reviews online, and I haven't read the review for the blowhole, I'm just saying, I'm just using that as an example. If you read reviews online before you book that type of thing, then that is the kind of information that you will find. And also, you need to know thyself, right? You need to know what's going to get me excited. What is going to be, I just see everybody else is doing it, so I'm going to do it too. No, we're not doing that right there. Right there. I've always been the type of person to move to the beat of my own drum. And I don't go on excursions just because other people are saying that they absolutely loved it. I'm going to take the reviews into consideration. I'm going to look at the price and see if it's something that I feel is of value to me. And I'm also going to think about me and the things that I actually like to do and see. Put all of that together and not overspend on excursions that was not very fulfilling, that once you get there, you're like, oh, I thought it was something totally different. Whereas you have access to all the information right there in front of you. You have YouTube videos that will show you what that actual experience looks like. And sometimes you will have an excursion that is, you might feel it's overpriced, but for other people, but for you, that might be just the right price and you really want to do that, right? So like for me, when I went over to, for instance, for me, when I went over to Falmouth, Jamaica, a lot of people didn't want to get off and they don't like the pressure of the vendors in Jamaica. Falmouth, to me, there was no pressure. There was no one running up to me asking me, buy this, buy that, blah, 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 blah. And when I went on that excursion, I absolutely loved it. And it was worth every dime. They probably could have gotten double out of me if I was to go back there because I absolutely loved it so much. But again, know thyself. Another one of the biggest money mistakes that I see people do on cruises is getting tricked by drink packages that cost more than they actually drink. So a lot of people say, oh, I did the math before I got on the ship. Did you really? Did you really? First of all, that's a lot of drinks. I'm not really an alcohol person and I'm not judging, but every time I see someone use their whole drink package, they are this close to getting kicked off the ship and being banned from cruising forever. As a matter of fact, it was a lady yesterday. Before I say that, this is another thing that you need to consider. When you're doing your calculation and is it worth it? Especially like if you're on a 4 or 5 day cruise, which the 4 days, 3 and 4 days are really considered the booze cruises, right? But say 3, 4, 5 days, you are going to a port. So not only are you, some cruises just say unlimited is unlimited. Some of them say unlimited is 15 drinks, whatever the case may be. Think about how many drinks you can and will consume during that time period. If you're on a short cruise, you're going probably to 2 ports and you're probably going to be out in those ports for 8 hours. That's 8 hours of drinks that you're not getting while you're on the ship. And back to the story of yesterday, I finally saw, I don't think I ever seen someone from the crew approach a person and, I'm saying it my way, a nice way, tell them to shut up. So I'm over getting my B2B drink, my bottles of water, because I only drink water. Occasionally I drink a soda or alcohol, but mostly water. So I'm over there getting my water and they're having trivia over in the Tuscan Lounge. And this one lady keeps shouting out the answers and they were all wrong. I didn't know the answers either, but I knew she was wrong. And her husband, boyfriend, whoever was there with her, was shouting out right along with her, but she was way out there. And the lady from the trivia finally walked over because everybody kept saying boo and, you know, hush and shh, all that stuff. The lady from trivia finally walked over and came the nicest way she could say it. She was a sweetheart. And basically told her that, you know, she was being disruptive, blah, blah, blah. So she kept on going and me waiting on my water, trying to be nice and distract them. So I started a little side conversation with them. Y'all must have already had some drinks. And, you know, they're still ordering drinks over here. And the guy was like, oh, yeah, we had all these drinks when we were over in Cabo and we were lit before we got back on this ship. Oh, my goodness. Don't do that. I'm like, these were some of the people who, the 2 of them were this close for this lady calling security. And I don't know what would have happened after that. But my point is, don't get tricked by the drink packages. Know your limit. I know you're going to turn up, you're going to have fun, but have somebody with you who can drag you back to your room or drag you out of a situation so you don't end up getting banned from cruising for life because of a drink package. And maybe you can drink 5, 10, 15 drinks a day, but consider the ports that you're going to be off the ship drinking as well into your calculation, okay? Let's see. The biggest money mistakes that I ever seen is another one. I've talked about this in another video. Is not budgeting for gratuities and the real cost of cruising. So your upcharges and things like that. I had someone walk by me a few cruises ago. I overheard her in the hallway saying that she could not believe that they just added whatever that was, $64 to her bill for gratuities. I don't know if she was being facetious and she really didn't know and was just, I don't know, running off at the mouth, or if she was really surprised. But giving her the benefit of the doubt, if you are really surprised about the gratuities, that's because you're making a mistake by not knowing the real cost of what your cruise is going to cost when you get on the ship. So since you're watching this video, that means you're already doing some kind of research. Know what you want to do before you get on the ship. Know if you want to go to the spa, and if you don't, by the time you get on the ship, you can say, no, I don't want that. Or if you have an idea, you say, well, I'm thinking about going to the spa. If I go, this is what my budget is going to be. So when you get on the ship, you don't overspend. Same thing for everything else. The photo packages, like I said, the drinks, the specialty dining. Sometimes they have other things like Dr. Seuss breakfast, or they might have souvenir cups. There's shops on the ships. Some people buy jewelry on the ships. Have in your head or written down or somewhere a note in your phone, this is what my budget is for the total of the cruise. The cruise itself don't cost, but I'm gonna make up something. The cruise itself doesn't cost but $1,000. My max for this whole cruise is gonna be $2,000, and these are the things that I'm thinking of spending money on. If I go in the casino, this is my max. If I go here, if I buy some earrings, this is my max. If I do this, blah blah blah. So don't make the mistake of overspending for your entire cruise. Another mistake is not using loyalty programs that could save you money or upgrade on your experience. And that's kind of self-explanatory. When you are loyal to a certain program, to a certain cruise line, you will get certain perks with that. And I have heard a few people say that they are kicking themselves now because they wanted to get certain perks, but their last few cruises, they decided to go with another cruise line. I try and talk them down off the ledge, because really, how much was the perk worth to you? Some people, that perk or those perks were worth their weight in gold. Some people, once they thought about it, oh, I could have just did on Royal Caribbean, I could have just did the Key to get that perk, or Carnival, I could have just did Fastest to the Fun to get that perk. And I'm sure other cruise lines have their, I could have just did this to get that perk. So know what the perks are, know if they are going to benefit you or not, and if you can do an alternative, or if you want to stay loyal to that cruise line so you can get those perks that you really want. For me, I'll just say it right now, all the cruise lines, if I'm going to be there, because I'm doing so many back-to-back cruises, one of the most important perks for me is laundry, of course, because some ships don't have laundry rooms. If they have laundry rooms, no problem. I can do my own laundry. But if they don't have laundry rooms on the ships, then yeah, that is a really important perk for me. Of course, I can always wash my clothes in the sink, but who wants to do that all the time? Just a couple more. One mistake that I see people making, money mistake that I see people making, is thinking that expensive equals better and missing out on budget-friendly choices that offer the same joy. So, I'm not going to compare Royal and Carnival because I love both of those cruise lines. And one of the perks that Carnival does have is their pricing is, not all the time, but most of the time, their pricing is slightly more affordable than Royal. But Royal, even though sometimes their prices are slightly higher than Carnival, sometimes you can find some good deals, or sometimes just cruise for cruise, going the exact same day to the exact same port, exact same destinations out of the exact same port. Sometimes Royal will be less expensive than Carnival, believe it or not. So I would say definitely shop for your personality. I made a video, I put a link in the video description, about the differences between Carnival and Royal. So I'm not going to compare them, but thinking, I don't know, because I never sailed these lines before, but I've heard people say, thinking that going on Norwegian or Princess or what other cruise lines are out there, MSC for instance, thinking that, well, MSC is a bad example because their prices are usually less. But anyway, thinking that another cruise line is going to be better just because you pay more. They might be better, but it's probably not because you pay more. Their prices are different because you're getting a different experience. So, especially if you're a first time cruiser or you've only cruised on one certain cruise line, don't think just because you're paying more for that cruise, you're going to have a better experience. That's not necessarily the case. I didn't pay for my Princess cruise when I went on it. I've only gone on one, and I do have two more planned, only because they're group cruises, so I'm giving them another chance. So, but I've only gone on one Princess cruise, and I know that Princess cruises are more expensive than Royal and Carnival, at least the cruises that I've gone on. I did not have a better experience. That's my own personal experience. I know that some of you out there absolutely love Princess and you would never go on a different cruise line. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying just making assumptions because something costs better means that you're going to have a better experience is the wrong assumption. Do some research, watch YouTube videos, ask friends and family who've gone on different cruise lines about their experiences. Find out what they have and compare that to what you like overall in your vacations, things that you actually like to do on land, whether it's in your hometown or when you go somewhere else. Those are the type of things that you want to look for that the cruise ship is going to have, and maybe try out a different line. And hey, it might be way better than what you expected it to be. Or once you start doing your research, you might be like, huh, I didn't know they do that. Okay, I didn't realize that. And hey, yeah, so I had someone that I met that he actually liked, no, this was his first cruise. He actually was just looking for, he wasn't looking for the personality of the cruises. He was looking for certain port destinations. And I met him on Carnival ship, Carnival Valor. And he had booked a cruise on, I forgot what line it was. And he said, oh, it was because I wanted to go to these certain ports. And it was less expensive when I went on, I think he said Virgin. He was only looking for price, and he was only looking for those destinations. As far as the ship itself, he didn't really care about the ship. So we sat down on the back of deck 10, I think it was deck 10, wherever the pool is on the back by the pizza place. We sat down and we walked through. We both had Wi-Fi. He showed me what he had purchased, and I showed him that exact same cruise on another cruise line with all the extras, the drink package, the gratuities, everything. Showing him dollar for dollar. He was very surprised that he was actually paying $1,000 more than what he would have got if he would have just did a little bit more research. For the same exact, I want to say it was a 7-day cruise, for the same exact port destinations, which is what he wanted. Matter of fact, when I met him, he was sitting at the back of the ship because over by the pool because he didn't even want to go to the cruise ship activities because he's not interested in the ship. He just was using that for transportation. So again, a really good example of do some research. Don't think just because something is expensive means you're going to have a better experience. And the last one, and probably the most jaw-dropping for me, friend, please, I don't tell people what to do, but I'm asking you, please, don't go into debt for a cruise. Whether it's living full-time on cruise ships, or just going on one or two cruises, please don't go into debt. As the saying goes, if you can't pay for it, then you can't afford it right now. Find ways to be able to afford it ahead of time. I had someone, and if she watching, don't worry, I ain't giving out your name, but I had someone who told me she is like $20,000 in debt going on cruises. Actually, two people now that I think about it. Two people that I've met. They are like $20,000 in debt on credit cards for cruises that they've paid for over the last 5, 6, 7 years. Friend, those cruises are going to cost you twice, 3 times, 4 times the amount of what the experience cost you. Get those credit cards paid off. Find you some other alternative staycations, and don't pay 2, 3, 4, 5 times the amount of the cruise by putting it on the credit card and not being able to pay that credit card off by the end of the month, by the time the statement is due. Because I don't know about for you, but if I had a cruise that was $1,000 and I had a cruise that was $4,000 and I could have the same experience I don't want to pay $4,000 for a cruise that I could only pay $1,000 for. So why put that $1,000 on a credit card and don't pay it off for 3, 4, 5 years, and you're going to end up spending $4,000 for that card? Come on. You already know that. You don't need me to tell you that. You don't need me to help remind you of that. But that's what I'm here for. That's what this video is for. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that I have been able to help you avoid some of the biggest money mistakes that I see people making when they are on these cruise ships. Thank you for watching. I hope you have an amazing day and hope to see you on the next cruise.